Although it doesn't always happen, someone may wish to harm you more the more you reveal your pain. Learning not to show your weak point can make it your strong point because it is common for some people to enjoy seeing you suffer, or even to help it happen or worsen. Unfortunately, this behavior of sadism and envy is present in many, and it can actually hinder your personal growth in a variety of fields of life, including work, a social circle, and even family. Imagine yourself as a tree in the midst of a storm. The leaves may flutter and the branches may sway, but the trunk remains solid, deeply rooted in the earth. This is the portrait of silent resilience that we are going to teach here. We will talk about how you can be even stronger if you show that you are not easily affected by external, internal issues, where each challenge teaches you to be like the tree by acting as if nothing bothers you. You are not denying the storm, but choosing not to let the rain soak you and the wind knock you down. You will be learning to be the master of your own fate, firm, strong, and serene in a sea of chaos. In this video, we will talk about 18 Stoic principles of Epictetus, a great and renowned philosopher you have probably already heard of. In addition, I invite you to self-knowledge, where strength does not come from the noise of thunder, but from the silence of the light that illuminates the path. Therefore, in the next few minutes, focus on the content and not on daily distractions. Let's proceed. First principle: listen twice as much as you speak. Have you ever considered why, according to Epictetus, nature gave us 2 ears but only 1 mouth? There is no mistake or coincidence here. Rather, there is a purpose behind this reality that calls for us to fall in love with the voices of others, rather than with our own. We grow in life by learning from others, not by repeating what we have said time and time again. Therefore, starting today, begin paying more attention to what people around you say and less attention to what you have been upholding until now. Second principle: always assume the worst. One of the main causes of anxiety and its devastating effects is the belief that bad things will happen to us in the future. We fear that our spouse will come clean and ask for a divorce, that our children will give up on their education, that we will be fired from our job, or that something else terrible will happen to us, like going bankrupt. The problem is that one day we fear one of these problems and the next day another, and another. The path of life, in addition to reserving good and happy parts for us, also reserves a handful of problems that are inevitable. Therefore, we live in permanent stress caused by different stimuli each day, and this is where Epictetus comes into the picture, since his proposal is as drastic as it is effective. He says, think that all these things you fear so much have already happened. So what could be worse? In this way, your spirit will develop coping strategies to move forward with your head held high. Principle number 3: prepare to fail, because it is the only way to progress. We do the impossible so that we are not considered fools. But Epictetus has another view on this. According to his philosophy, one of the best things that can happen to you is to be considered, such as, this is the way for you to really improve professionally and personally as well. The Stoic philosopher reminds us that overcoming is not the product of an spontaneous reaction, but rather the result of a long path of trial and error, for it is through error that we can polish what distances us from excellence. Fourth principle: recognize the risks associated with fortune. The wealth we seek carries a stigma that few people are able to overcome, and it's not just about the people who will materialize out of nowhere to profit from our good fortune. For example, by feigning friendship with us, money has the power to change people, though not always for the better. Once we acquire this highly sought-after resource, we discover we have something we were unaware we had, and that's when our spirit may start to turn against us due to the loss of moral principles. The fifth principle is to not cling to a single hope. Fortunately, we are creatures of diversity, so we should not place all of our hopes in one dream, because failing at it could be disastrous. Epictetus encourages us to pursue multiple dreams because doing so will greatly raise our chances of success. Sixth principle: always keep in mind that death is waiting at the end of the road. This is not advice that encourages pessimism, but rather an awareness that death is the ultimate destination of all our actions, especially our efforts. With this in mind, perhaps we will begin to assess the extent to which it is worth spending 20 years of our limited life savings to pay for a house that, heavy as it is, we will not be able to take with us wherever we go once death visits us. Just as we carry in our bags the items we consider essential for our daily lives, like our phone, credit cards, and toothbrush, it would be very beneficial for us to keep a small notebook with these Stoic principles. Stoicism leads to a contented spirit, which is where true wealth is found. We can learn about Epictetus's unique definition of happiness from one of his well-known quotes. "A wise man finds joy in the things he has rather than lamenting the things he lacks." This reflection is more than just a thought. It is advice to learn to stop being affected by riches that are not yet a part of our lives. Because when we allow ourselves to be unhappy and lament our shortcomings, we miss out on precious moments of happiness when we could be grateful for everything we have accomplished thus far, much more than our eyes are taught to recognize. For this reason, principle number 8 states that a wealthy person is, above all, a happy person. Incorporate humility into your life if you truly want to learn something. Epictetus reminds us to use our humility, especially when it comes to learning. As we go through life, boasting about our knowledge causes us to become more and more disconnected from the authentic knowledge that results from the conviction that we are completely ignorant of what we intend to learn. In this way, we will see everything through the eyes of a child who has the same capacity for wonder as they do for a desire to learn. Principle number 9. Guilt and the epidemic of narrow-minded people blaming others go hand in hand. While most people place the blame on themselves, intelligent people view all guilt as absurd. Because of this quote from Epictetus, therapists today view guilt as a feeling that needs to be eliminated from our lives. The only way to defeat guilt is to refuse to give in to it. The problem with guilt is that it leads to an easy path because when we place the blame elsewhere or on ourselves, we absolve ourselves of any responsibility for fixing the mistake. As a result, guilt is a temptation that is difficult to resist. Only those who are determined to overcome can avoid guilt while still accepting responsibility for their actions. Principle number 10. Form alliances with people who inspire you to give your best. It's interesting how, when someone sneezes next to us, we instantly move away out of fear that they will infect us. However, we are not as careful to avoid one of the deadliest contagions we encounter daily. Epictetus gave us sage advice about this. Surround yourself with people who inspire you to give your best, because people's actions have a significant impact on our mental health. Some people drain our energy and ruin our day, while some people leave us feeling happy and content. One of the best choices we can make is to align ourselves with people who make us feel good about ourselves and bid farewell to people who have the power to make us regret our birth. Principle number 11. Remember always that your responses forge your destiny. Epictetus was quite clear that we cannot select what happens to us. Instead, we must learn to control it. We should not take our reactions lightly because they unquestionably determine our success or failure. While misfortune can befall anyone, how we respond to it will determine how things turn out for us moving forward. For some, getting divorced means embarking on a journey of despair and victimization, but for Epictetus, it's a chance to embark on the path of self-knowledge. Keep in mind that your life is what you do with it, not what happens to you. Principle number 12. Always do your part. Every person on the planet plays a part in society, and just as the sun rises every day without any help or magic, so too do we all have our roles in society and the world. We have a moral obligation to complete our tasks without waiting for someone to remind us to do so, just as every other aspect of nature completes its task. If we wait for approval or praise before doing our work, we are failing both ourselves and the environment to which we belong. If we are aware of our task and know that others depend on it, we should fulfill it immediately. Principle number 13. We are encouraged not to fear people who harm us because that noise represents a regrettable attempt to damage us. So ignore it and become immune to it. Do not waste your precious time hating the person because they do not even deserve to be present in your thoughts. Instead, ignore them and show that you are much bigger and superior to the person who criticizes, despises, and discriminates against you. Wager on. Principle number 14. Easygoing. Why lead a thrifty life? If we have the option to surround ourselves with all kinds of luxuries today, the answer is much simpler and more logical than you might think, because wealth is a system that requires daily effort and commitment to maintain. On the other hand, when we choose a simple lifestyle, we are no longer under pressure to pay our bills on time or to pay off our debts like credit cards and loans. Principle 15. Anyone who can make you furious becomes your master, but they can only do so if you allow yourself to be disturbed by them. When you allow the remarks and attitudes of others to bother you, you are ceding control of your life. Epictetus helps us realize that we all have countless keys within us, some of which lead to bliss. The solution to this issue is to put up a barrier that prevents us from being affected by the attitudes of others, because everyone is the owner of what they say and what they choose to listen to. Principle number 16. Friendship is above wealth. Genuine friends are there to support us if one day our material wealth dissipates, so devote yourself to cultivating true friendships and you will be making a very profitable long-term investment. While others lead us directly to emotional ruin, it is precisely this last key that we hand over to those who enrage us. Principle number 17. Epictetus said, "Always extract the benefit from things. Whatever happens, it is up to you to take advantage of it or not." As you can see, this means that we have a responsibility to do so. Not only to choose to make the best of difficult circumstances, but also to realize the advantages that can be gained from them. For example, if you were to wake up one day at work and find out you've been fired, rather than giving up and accusing the universe of being against you, you could choose to launch the enterprise of your dreams while fulfilling your work schedule with people you disliked. That way, instead of feeling hopeless and accusing the universe of being against you, you could choose to take action and explore your dreams. Stop worrying about what is out of your control. You are the owner of your opinion, but not the reputation you have, the desire and the zeal for the search. But you cannot control the number of goods you have or success. Therefore, worrying and getting bitter about those things we cannot control is simply making the decision to waste time. According to Epictetus, we are called to cultivate those values that we can change, but it is also our responsibility to let go of what is out of our control and thus let fate take care of it, in addition to being incredibly useful for everyday life. Stoic principles are teachings that can help us navigate bad times with interest and resilience, as there is no place in their philosophy for fantasizing, but only for applying what is learned and moving forward. I hope you liked the video, and since you've made it to the end, share your ideas with us, and write Armored Wisdom in the comments. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. See you soon.